Okay, so today's topic is writing objectives using Bloom's taxonomy. In preschool, we touched on this a little bit and we started writing objectives. You had to do that for all of your lessons. However, in Education Academy, it gets a little bit more intense, just kind of like the lesson plan. So again, in preschool and in previous classes, you might have been in like level 1. Now we're amping it up to like level 2, level 3 of objective writing. Just to refresh, a learning objective has 3 parts, and without the 3 parts, it is not a effective or proper learning objective for your lesson plans. So the first portion of the learning objective is your audience. Who is going to be completing the activity? In preschool and in Education Academy, it's usually the child or the student. So this is the very, very first part. This is the stem of your learning objective that never changes. One thing to focus on is that your audience is the students, therefore your objectives should be saying what the student is doing, not what the teacher is doing. That's for your procedures. The second part is the behavior or the action verb portion of your objective. This is the second part. This verb can be measured and assessed. That means you can see it happening and the teacher can actually test the child on it. You cannot measure the word learn or understand. That's something that happens internally. It needs to be something that you can actually see happen, like the word count. You can actually see a child pointing and counting different things. So then it would be the child will be able to count. That's your behavior action verb. That second portion, the behavior or the verb, comes from Bloom's taxonomy, which is what we're going to be working on for part 1 of this assignment. The third portion of a learning objective is the condition. The condition is met by how the children will demonstrate the desired behavior, aka how will they meet your learning objective. So if you want them to count something, how are they going to count it? What are you going to have in front of them? Are they going to be pointing? Are they going to be saying it out loud? Are they going to be doing both? Are they going to be counting by 2s? There's a variety of different things. So that's actually what you're doing. So we start with who you're talking about, what they're doing for the behavior, and then the condition is how they're doing it and how they're showing that they're meeting your learning objective. So here's an example. We're going to be counting ladybugs today. We're bringing it back to our preschool days. So our first thing is the student. That is our audience, or we could say the child. The student will be able to count to 10. That's a specific and measurable behavior that the teacher can focus on for the student. So the teacher is focusing on getting all of his or her students to count to 10. And the condition is by pointing to each ladybug and saying the correct number. So the entire learning objective just flows that way. The student will be able to count to 10 by pointing to each ladybug and saying the correct number. You know who's doing it, what they're doing, and how they're doing it. Remember, all learning objectives need to be specific and measurable. If there isn't a way to test or to see how your student is meeting your objective, then it's not a proper learning objective. So that's why we can't use words like think, because how do we know what thinking is going on? That's like inside or understand. My goal could be for you to understand algebra, but unless you actually do something to show me, I won't know if you understand it. So that's why all learning objectives need to be specific and measurable. With your teams, you're going to be completing part 1 of this assignment. So you're going to look at the document on the left. It's going to be a PDF that's going to be available for you in Schoology, and it has a bunch of words on it. All of these words belong on Bloom's taxonomy. There's no point in you just looking up the right answers. I really just want you to kind of get familiar with the different levels. And yes, this is not going to be graded for correctness. I really want you to just kind of think, like, what are the easiest skills? Those would be on like the first 3, remember, understand, and apply. And what are some more critical thinking skills that would fall under analyze, evaluate, and create? So you're going to take the words from the list on the left and fill them in the best you can into your part 1 chart for Bloom's taxonomy. And then you're going to discuss it with the people in your team and see what you have similar, what you have different, etc. So again, it doesn't matter. There's no sense in just looking it up and finding the correct answer, because we really want you to think about this so you can think when you're assessing your students, what's the best way to do it? Do we need lower level of thinking, higher level of thinking, and probably a mix between both? So that's part 1.